Hello. On the 9th of March, COO, Chief Operating Officer Shyam joined Morgan Stanley for a fireside chat at the Media and Telecom Conference. I've drilled into all the highlights so you don't have to, and believe me, there are some very big Easter eggs as to where Palantir is going in the near future. Stay tuned for this and more. Keep it simple.
And having that sort of focus over 15 years has really meant that we've developed three capabilities that I think we are world class at, and there's really no competition for. And the first is that our platforms make the marginal cost of data integration effectively zero. The second major pillar of our product is, that gets you to the starting line. I've integrated all this data, that's really useful, only if I do something with it to make a decision, right? It's not inherently valuable unto itself. And so the second pillar of what we do is we make the marginal cost of application development effectively zero. Importantly, it's applications, not dashboards. This is not read-only insight into some data asset. It's actually about making decisions as a blue-collar worker. You know, if you go to any Chrysler factory in North America, you will find Foundry on the factory floor. And the third major pillar of what we do is simulation and modeling. The buzzword around this is digital twin. But as a consequence of simply integrating your data into Foundry, you now have a digital twin of your entire enterprise. And that proved to be extraordinarily valuable in the context of the multiple shocks that were happening throughout COVID and the pandemic. My supplier gave me 50% of what they told me they were going to give me. What do I do? And by the way, what do I want to do? Am I optimizing on margin or revenue or customer satisfaction? And how do I ask counterfactual questions of my entire operation? That creates an enormous amount of resiliency and sort of your responsiveness, your ability to seize opportunities in the market. You know, is uniquely, we built Operation Warp Speed. We got every vaccine distributed in the US and the UK. And I think that's the exciting thing that we saw in 2021 is the quintupling of the US commercial customer count and the incredible growth in the new revenue from new 2021 customers, 53 million, which is pretty substantial relative to our past performance there.
Right.
That's right. I mean, I think, look, we've kind of screwed this up historically. I'd say we were really focused on creating extraordinary business value, selling to business users, avoiding IT. And what we've really pivoted the sales force to is sell to IT first. I don't even want you to have a business conversation. We talked about Apollo around the listing as really this kind of third platform that we had built for ourselves. It's our continuous delivery infrastructure and so much more, really our platform engineering and production infrastructure capability. Mm-hmm. And what it's allowed us to do is to deploy our product as SaaS environments that you typically don't have market access to SaaS for. So on-premise, Swiss banks, the aspiration, like what is the highest potential use of Foundry? And I think it's application development infrastructure. It should be where you go to build the applications of the future, not AWS, not Azure. Like these things are great and they're fine and they work, but they're rather highly unopinionated. If you're gonna go build something like Skywise, which is the aviation ecosystem that Airbus built on top of Foundry, it has 160 airlines that run their operations on this software. It is integrated with their top 15 suppliers and it generates over $3 billion worth of value for them a year. I don't know how you could do better than starting and building on top of Foundry there. And so I am so excited to work with all my customers who have supply chain problems or want to work on pricing or integration in production, but that's not the strategic investment program. The strategic part of this is Foundry is our AWS. If you're building autonomous vehicles, you're generating about 10 terabytes of data an hour on the vehicle. It is completely cost prohibitive to bring all that data to the cloud. So you need to do the AI edge inferencing, the data analytics at the edge. We're deeply committed to being the infrastructure that people build their business on top of. Yeah, I think it's too soon to give like something concrete on the ramp there, but like we're in the market now. We've closed usage-based pricing deals really starting this quarter, Q1. And so I think you'll start to see it layer in and expect some commentary from us as that starts to happen. We have our Edge AI capability, which did not exist at the listing. That's going to be launched into a hardware bus of a satellite this month in space. The work that we've done with Meta Constellation, we were really, obviously we had no knowledge of what's going on in Ukraine, but it is being used in anger by multiple Western allied services to really observe and take space from an intelligence domain where you're looking at what's happening every week to how can I use this in a real-time decision-making sort of basis? How do I pair the imagery I'm getting from space with my AI models to drive my common operating picture? How does that feed into Gotham in terms of how I'm then running operations? So it's been really exciting to see that. And we've also seen a lot of acceleration based on these sorts of exogenous events. The work that we did with CD2, I mean, that Army program was designed for a land war with Russia. It doesn't show up in a quarter, but it creates all these tentacles. It defines what good looks like, whether you're the Air Force or the Army or the Marines, and it starts informing the acquisition philosophy. And in our case, this is commercial product that exists. It's not something you have to go build 2 years from now. You could get it tomorrow. And I think the whole world has changed. Europe is not the same place it was 2 years ago. The sort of, to the degree that some of those militaries were kind of performative, they're not going to be performative going forward. You see that with the Germans committing 100 billion euro to modernizing their force because they realize the threats are real. And I think that's also going to create a lot of market access, not just because they need it, but they also are going to need it in the context of collaborating with allied forces. That innovation, it's like a punctuated equilibrium. The thing I'm most excited about in the government is I think we have the opportunity to be the first software prime. Depending how you count it, there's 4 to 5 primes. They're principally hardware companies. But with Titan, this project that we've taken on to build a tactical ground station, we are the prime contractor as a software company. How do we totally transform this asset, which connects to space constellations from the ground, using software to fundamentally reimagine this? It's a little bit like what Tesla did to the car. And I think that's going to create profound opportunities in the government space. I mean, 21 shows high growth and high free cash flow, and that's what we're doing, and that's what we think we're going to keep doing here. That it is the single pane of data that creates the single pane of glass to run your operations on. You see that with Meta Constellation bringing space in. You see that with Edge AI. Like, how do I push that inferencing to the edge? How do these things operate in survivable, disconnected modes? How do we bring it? How do we kind of upgrade all the hardware we do have to be AI enabled?
Thanks for watching, and please note I'm extremely bullish on Palantir, so please take this drill with precaution and always do your own DD. If you found this informative, then do me a favour and simply subscribe to the channel and make sure to come back for more.